Good Friday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majestic back with you here in the North Georgia Majestic Studios with the Weather Report, exclusively for you Facebook subscribers and YouTube members here on your July the 17th, 2026. It's also Free Sampler Friday, so you guys on Facebook and on YouTube, if you'd like to become a subscriber or a member, we'd sure love to have you as part of our special weather family here, and you help contribute to our effort to build a professional 24-hour channel. So consider becoming a subscriber on Facebook or a member over there on YouTube. All right, let's go ahead and take a live look at what's going on out there this morning, guys. We got a lot of sunshine. Boy, we had some pretty nasty storms around yesterday, and you know what? I think we may see it again later this afternoon. It's just the air is very muggy. If you haven't been outside already, it's a bit muggy to say the least, and I don't think it's going to take a whole lot to fire up some showers and thunderstorms. I'm thinking around 2 o'clock we'll start to see things begin to bubble up here across the region. So let's go ahead and take a look around a little bit here as we take a look over Helen, Georgia this morning. Looking pretty nice. A lot of clear skies out there. Temperature's pretty decent out there. Mid-70s for a lot of places this morning. Look at Athens. Boy, they're looking very clear this morning. Very nice looking sky. And over to Dahlonega as well, over the UNG campus. Looking pretty good there. And over at Dalton, I missed the train again. I hate when I do that. But anyway, looking pretty good there with sunshine and clear skies for the moment. But, you know, those clouds will start bubbling up here for this afternoon. Sky Valley also looking very nice. A little bit of fog there, just a little bit. Definitely a good golfing day ahead, at least early. Just watch out for those storms later this afternoon, that's for sure. All right, let's look at what's going on here on our surface map here. Got a little weak trough over here in the Carolinas. Couple of showers here across Tennessee, and that's about it for the moment. One thing I do want to point out here, just something I want to kind of highlight here. Let me go by interactive mode here so I can move this a little bit. As look what's going on out here. Little cluster of showers and storms coming off the coast here, and guess what? This is the storms that we're going to be watching here for the weekend. Okay, just a little teaser there for you. We'll show you that here in this update in a second. The golf is going to have to be watched this weekend very closely. All right, let's go take a look at our satellite picture. I got that little cluster of storms. You kind of see that there. Eruption of these storms moving on off, and we'll see what it may spin up out here. The model consistency continues to be there. The National Hurricane Center has not changed its upgrade, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Even though we're seeing the model consistency, there's a couple of inhibitions that are out there as far as Sahara dust is still out in the Gulf a little bit, and some maybe not the most favorable wind conditions potentially, but we'll see what happens. We got the whole weekend to watch this. Now, as we take a look at our excessive rainfall outlook here for today, got a little bit across North Georgia here, just a little bit. Obviously, any storms that fire today, just similar to yesterday, I don't think are going to move all that fast. They'll be slow movers, and you expect some pretty gusty winds for these storms as they pulse up. You're going to get a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain. Had a lot of viewers reporting some healthy rain amounts over an inch easily in some of these locations. Now, going into the weekend, it looks like we're not going to have to worry about any potential heavy rains anytime soon. Everything's down toward Florida, so we're pretty quiet here going into next week. We are going to dry out a little bit going into next week the way things are currently tracking. So the severe weather risk, that's going to be there all weekend. Okay, this is today's outlook, day one. As you can see there, a lot of North Georgia in this. So we're talking Dalton down to Metro Atlanta, Athens, Madison, Clayton, Toccoa's all in this. This is your day one outlook. Day two for tomorrow kind of shifts over into Northeast Georgia a little bit there. So we're talking Blue Ridge and Blairsville, Hiawassee, heading down toward Commerce and Elberton. That is for that. And then day three, we'll take up a little bit more real estate there across North Georgia. A lot of North Georgia covered here from Rome. Again, over to Hartwell. So, again, just watch out for these potential thunderstorms all weekend long, and they have the ability, especially with the heat and humidity, to perhaps become isolated severe, which is really great. We've got our new alert service on Facebook now. It is operational. We had some little kinks yesterday, get it started, but it is there, and it'll immediately update to you guys on our Facebook page on immediate alerts there. So if you want to go ahead and make sure you're a follower, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're a follower over on our Facebook page as well. All right, so let's go over to the tropical track here again. We just got the updates here that just came in here. So again, we'll go ahead and talk about these as we'll kind of start out here. Obviously, this one here off the Cape Verde is still pretty low at 10%. We got our tropical system out here, which will be weakening here. This is Elda. But we do have a couple more areas that will possibly develop. We got another system behind it Two of them, in fact, in the Pacific. But the one that's really most concerning is the one here closer to the coastline, obviously. And this, again, just updated, still holding at 20%. But wouldn't surprise me if it comes up to maybe 30 later today. We'll see what happens with that. And there's a reason for that. But I don't think it'll go too high unless conditions improve a little bit here. Now, local radar is quiet here for the moment, but again, later this afternoon, we'll be firing up some stuff. It looks like, like I said, anything after 2 o'clock, between 2 and 8 o'clock, I think that's your window there for your showers and storms to really kind of get cranking. And temperatures this morning, like we said, pretty mild, pretty muggy out there. We got a lot of mid-70s out there this morning here across the metro area. 74 up in Dalton and Toccoa at 74. Yeah, there's still one more 68 up there in Hiawassee, but otherwise it is a muggy start to say the least. All right, now let's go get into the model data here. First, we're going to focus here on Georgia. I want to start focusing on Georgia here first. This is the rapid refresh. Going to take it through the entire weekend going into Monday. So every day you're going to see these scattered storms that may erupt. Now, here's the thing I want you guys to remember. When it comes to summertime thunderstorms, it's like bumper cars in the atmosphere, okay? So wherever the boundary set up from the previous day will kind of dictate where it's going to happen the next day. So don't get too wrong on what the model had it here and how it does fluctuate. But it gives you a general idea that every day here for today, Saturday, and Sunday, you're going to see scattered storms, and some of these could potentially be little whopper gully washer. So pay attention to that. All right, now down here to the south, again, we're going to watch this thing real close. As you can clearly see, there's something there that's spinning about, okay? Not pretty weak, pretty ordinary. Here's that again, you get that little cluster of storms that was blowing off the coast right through here, kind of moving this way. All right, so you see it just kind of spinning about. It's not moving anywhere because the steering currents are pretty lousy right now. And we'll see what happens with this. We'll see if we get our next named storm or not. We'll find out. But right now, it's something to keep an eye on here throughout the weekend. And because what I think is going to end up happening is we do have a frontal boundary that's going to kind of come down to the south here, coming in toward Wednesday and Thursday. What I think ultimately will happen here is this thing will get picked up and we'll move on out to sea. But in the meantime, through the weekend, it's just going to stay out in that warm Gulf water and see if it can override some of the inhibitions it may have between dust and other factors and dry air. So we will watch that closely here through the weekend. All right, let's go look here at the rainfall amounts. Again, if you get underneath one of these storms, as we saw yesterday, they're going to dump some pretty healthy rain amounts. You see, like this model kicked out 2 inches there in Athens. If you get one of these storms over you, you're going to get some pretty heavy rain. It does favor the eastern portion and not the western as much. That's what it's looking right for right now. And temperatures this afternoon, again, I think we hit our highs probably pretty early, around 2 o'clock or so. And it's going to be the eastern zones that are going to be the hotter because of, again, a little bit of a west wind, a slight downslope. That's where it'll be well into the 90s. The western zone's not as warm. And then your overnight lows tonight will be once again back into the 70s here as you roll into tomorrow morning. So very similar to what we have out there right now. You'll see that again here for tomorrow morning. And then going into your afternoon there on Saturday, depending on when the storms fire. Again, we're still favoring the hotter weather in the east and still, around 90 there in the west. And there's 2 o'clock temperatures there. So a bit steamy. And then when you throw in, obviously, that heat factor, yeah, look at these things here. Got 100s plus here for tomorrow. That'll be for today as well. In fact, I'll back up to today just so you can kind of see today's. I'll back up to 2 o'clock. I meant to show that. So let me back this up. Back this up to... There you go. So you get the gist. Over 100 degrees there in the east. So we're not quite to, obviously, heat advisory criteria, which is above 105, but it is hot enough. So just make sure you guys stay hydrated out there in the heat. All right, so here's the jet stream. What do we got going on with this thing? We still got this big, huge ridge still out in the west, still there. Still some weakness here. So when you get this kind of situation set up, and we've talked about this before, is we've got to watch for any potential little disturbances riding around the periphery of that high. So as we go into next week with this thing kind of set up like that, you can get these little disturbances that can ride down in here and bring our rain chance up. Now, for right now, I've got limited rain chances at least through Thursday right now, but that is subject to change depending on what's going on upstream from us. So again, that high is just kind of sitting there, and you see this again. You see the curve. I mean, look at this. This is going next Sunday. Again, you just can see that we've got the opportunity here for a little disturbances to roll in from the north and come into the south. And then beyond that, going beyond that following weekend, it does show the jet stream kind of flattening out. Now, that's been a trend here for a little while, showing flattening of the jet stream, but it has been pushing it to the right. So it really kind of depends on when that high pressure ridge eventually breaks down. It will, but in the meantime, it's going to stay very hot and gaudy out in the west. So here's what we're seeing here. Now, I've got this pulled out here a little bit because I'm watching out here. And what I'm seeing is I'm not seeing anything developing there. Okay, so on the European, there's no low that's kind of forming or anything that shows anything that's imminent. So that's one of the main reasons why I think we're not seeing any real main development here. What I do see is eventually this thing, it's still sitting out in the Gulf, and then it looks like this trough. You see this right here. This is a front coming down here. I think it's going to shut this thing right on out. So again, a weak low, nothing imminent on this, but we'll keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't make any changes. But one thing's for sure, see there's another front there coming in there on the 30th, coming into the area. And when that happens, obviously it enhances our rain threat. So it looks like the first week on the model outlook looks like we stay relatively dry compared to what we'll see as far as widespread activity. That we'll see scattered storms for the weekend, but not a ton of rain amounts here showing out as far as widespread. So the European, generally keeping it around an inch for a lot of locations, inch and a half. I think there'll be locally heavier ones than that because the European will underestimate convective thunderstorms like this when it comes on through. This is your 7-day total through next Friday. So its coverage is not very widespread. But look what happens here. We go out to 10-day, not much change there. But going out to the end, remember we saw all that stuff get very active there toward the end of that model run. And it does get us a bit wetter here as we go toward the end of the month, going out to the 31st. Look at some of these rainfall totals up into Alabama and Tennessee and Mississippi. So very high rain amounts. So it looks like we could see an uptick in precipitation. We'll see if it's there when we do our next update on Monday, if the trend is still looking a little bit wetter there toward the end of the month. All right, so here's our temperature differential here. We're looking at the next 7 days as far as what's normal as far as that. Are we looking at anything out of the normal? Obviously, look at the rains, cool everything down here this afternoon here on your Friday. Going into your Saturday afternoon here. Saturday afternoon, obviously, again, same song and dance. You'll be around normal, a little above, and then the rains will fire up. Now, cool things back off. And same going into Sunday. Sunday is looking above normal there at 2 o'clock. And then we pop some storms to cool us off. So we're still looking at basically above normal with our high temperatures here with a cool off with storms. And then going into your Monday afternoon, looks pretty seasonable there at 2 o'clock. And then, maybe a little above at 5, so not looking too bad there. How about Tuesday? Tuesday, that's fairly seasonable, although we're a little hot here in the west. You see Centertown at 7 above there. So that's on your Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday, how about Wednesday afternoon? That's looking a little hot. That's looking a little steamy there in the morning for sure. And these look at some storms there in the northeast. And then it cools us off there Wednesday afternoon with some storms. And then finally going to the Thursday. Thursday's looking, that's when that front's supposed to come down here. Now, I don't think it's going to be that gung-ho as far as the temperature drop off there. I want to see another run before I bite on that. That's clearly a lot there on Thursday. And going into Friday afternoon, looks like fairly seasonable there by next Friday. Friday looks pretty seasonable, but Thursday, I think it's just a little gung-ho with the rain right now. So, but we will see what happens when we get into next week. So I got a big question mark on Thursday forecast. I'll tell you that right now. So anyway, let's look at the temperatures here. We already looked at your going into Saturday. So let's go look at your Sunday forecast. Again, your 2 o'clock temperatures here. Pretty much the same thing. We're looking at 80s and 90s here for the afternoon with the afternoon storms firing up. Going into your Sunday afternoon, going into the weekend, temperatures around 90, low 90s, low upper 80s once again. And there comes the rain to cool us off. So you're going to be basically hitting your highs fairly early afternoon, around 2 o'clock or so, 3 o'clock, and then the storms start to fire, and then we start to cool things off a little bit there. How about for your Monday afternoon? Going back to work for the new week, looks fairly seasonable there. Not too bad there on Monday. And going into your Tuesday afternoon, let's see how it looks. Same thing, upper 80s, around 90. It's like we're on cut and repeat right now as far as our forecast is concerned. But at least we're not getting any big heat domes. That's the big thing. Yeah, it's hot and humid. We're not getting to extreme heat here. But you see the rains there on your Wednesday afternoon coming up there a little bit. And going into your Thursday here. Thursday's unusually, this is the one where I'm having a problem with on Thursday because that's such an abrupt change from yesterday. So That's why I did not go crazy with that forecast there. I want to see some model continuity. And look what it's doing here on Friday. I mean, this would be a nice thing. I would take it. Look at this. There's some dry air coming here on next Friday. Again, if it's there on the afternoon run, I will revise some forecast stuff looking down out there for Friday. But that would be nice. We'll definitely take a nice little break with humidity. The models have been kind of hinting at it, but they've been pushing it to the right just a little bit there. But going into next Friday, that's your Friday mornings lows there, and then your afternoon highs there. That's not bad. I mean, really not bad at all for July. Absolutely. So anyway, climate outlook though. It's keeping us above normal. So see that? That's above normal. Here's our little cool air up here across the New England. This again going from, oops, I closed that. Didn't mean to. Again, going from the 22nd to the 26th. Let me pull that back out. There we go. And then going out here from the 24th to the 30th. Again, seeing above normal temperatures there. And precipitation-wise, we're looking at, again, that green there. Seeing that above normal precipitation. And that'll continue as well. Going into the 24th. So there we go. All right. Anyway, that is y'all's update here for today. As we'll continue to watch these storms pop for this afternoon. If warranted, if it looks like if we get a watch issued for the area, we will do some live streaming coverage on this. If not, if it's just individual storms here and there, we'll continue to post there on Facebook and keep you guys up to date. But we'll keep a watchful eye on the Gulf. We'll see what happens at a little cluster of storms out there. And see if we get a depression or see if it makes any changes to our forecast going into next week. Again, appreciate you guys being YouTube members and Facebook subscribers. And again, if you're on both platforms and you're not a member and you like to help our efforts here, please consider becoming a subscriber there on Facebook and becoming a member on YouTube. We'd love to have you on board to get these daily weather reports. We do them every weekday here. A little more, as you can tell, a little more into the weeds here as far as the forecast discussion is concerned. All right, you guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you on Monday. You guys enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.